What is going on? Happy Wednesday. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about real estate myths, right? And what type of myths are within real estate. And we're going to bust them. But before we get into that, I want to say thanks for subscribing to the video. Thanks for liking it and commenting on it and supporting, the little channel. But let's get right into it. Real estate myth number one is you need 20% down. It's not the case. You can put as much as 0% down and still own a home. And now 0% down, there's a bunch of different programs, right? One of them in particular that I did recently is a physician's loan. You put 0% down, you get 100% financing, but the doctor or the physician had a great relationship with his bank to where they knew that all's gonna be well, right? If that makes sense. But he had a good enough relationship where he only had to put 0% down. Now you also have options to where you can put 3% down, 3.5% down, right? An FHA loan, first time home buyer. You can do, put more money down with better terms. There's so many different options. You can get an investment loan, right? Where you may not have to put too much down, or you may not have to show any income. But if you have an investment loan and, the income is proven through the property, you might not have to show anything on paper that, you make money. So there's a lot of different options, different loan options, and, something that I would talk to a lender about. Now, myth number two is renting is always cheaper than owning. It's not the case. Renting actually, right? When you're renting, say hypothetically, you're spending $2,500 a month on rent, you're essentially paying someone else's mortgage. Hypothetically, you say, hey, I'm going to go buy a house similar to mine and spend, I'm going to have to spend $3,500 a month on a mortgage. At least you're putting it somewhere that you can get out of it. So for example, right, renting, you're paying someone else's mortgage, you'll never see that money again. Owning a home and spending that same amount or more and putting it into a mortgage, we've all seen what happened in the last 5 years, 4 years with the real estate market. You can double or triple your money at the end of the day. And it's essentially like a bank, right? Like you're just putting that $3,500 into something else, which is essentially equity in your home. So, always owning is typically the best route to go. But you're gonna have to put more money down at the end of the day. And, there's gonna be probably a little bit of a higher payment. And more responsibility, taxes, insurance, X, Y, and Z, all that fun stuff. Myth number three is, right, you need to be debt-free. It's not the case, right? There's good debt and there's bad debt, right? And the biggest thing with owning a home is, right, or getting a mortgage is your DTI, debt to income ratio. If your DTI is you're spending more than you're making, that's not a great look. Now, if you're using good debt, right, if you have a bunch of mortgages and they're investment properties and you're making money off of it, well, that's good debt. If you have a car loan, or if you have I'm trying to think of other debt that's good. But credit card loan, I wouldn't say that's good debt, but the reality is you can have debt to own a home. And then I would say myth number four, right, is the real estate market is the same in every area. That's far from the case. Every market's so different in every possible way. It all comes down to, right, like, are you in a good market, a healthy market, or a bad market, right? So Palm Beach County alone, 68% of real estate transactions are cash. With that being said, the market's not too affected by rates here, because if you're paying cash, you're typically not getting a mortgage. Well, obviously, if you're paying cash, you're not getting a mortgage, but the rates don't affect your cash. If you are, say, in, New York right now, where there's not much inventory, we're still in the market where you're paying over asking price with multiple offers, whatever the case may be. Whereas South Florida, our average days on market right now is about 92. So with all that being said, I hope that brings some insight of, what the market's doing right now and how that's, I guess busting myths, if you will. So, but yeah, that's the gist of the video. I would love to hear all your feedback. Like the video, subscribe, comment down below, and call me. I'd love to help. So talk soon. Ciao.